It's time for
DodgerHeads. What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Medium Large Sports Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Daniel Starkand and Anthony Witrado with a dramatically different vibe than last night's show. As the Dodgers come back and win Game 2, they split in Toronto, regain home field advantage, and will be starting on Monday with an even series. The story, of course, Yoshinobu Yamamoto on the mound, Will Smith at the plate. But Daniel, all I can say is it feels so much better now than it did a few hours ago.
Yeah, I'd like to start off by thanking whoever makes the Lakers schedule for giving them a game last night and not tonight, so I could be on this show instead of last night's. I caught, your guys' show when I was driving home last night, and definitely, a lot different vibes. But hey, going into the series, when you're the road team, you'll take the 1-1 split in the first two games any day. So much different outlook now.
Anthony, I'm just going to cede the floor to you. I know Yamamoto is your guy. I gave you a hard time earlier in the season when you said it was Yamamoto Day. I said it's not allowed to be anything but Kershaw Day until the man is gone. I'll admit defeat on this one because back-to-back complete games in the CS and then the World Series. Touche, Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Touche.
You're right. He is my guy. For some reason, as soon as they signed him, I was like, I like this guy's vibe. I like his attitude. The baby lion, the roar after the strikeouts with the spin. I love it all. I have a Yamamoto magnet on my refrigerator. I'm all in on this dude, right? He's with us for, a decade plus. So you kind of have to be, but magnificent.
Yeah, unbelievable.
He was magnificent. If you thought that a start couldn't get much better than he had in Milwaukee, he said, hold my sake. Let me show you. Let me show you. And look, the way the offense performed tonight, aside from one inning, they needed every pitch that he gave them. And he delivered. He continues to deliver on the big stages, and he continues to deliver when they need a real stopper.
Yeah. And
that used to be prime Clayton Kershaw. There's a difference between a guy who's your best starter on any rotation in baseball and what is an actual ace and what is an actual stopper. And he continues to prove time and time again that he is both of those things. Yamamoto for life.
Yeah. The final line, 9 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run, no walks, 8 strikeouts. He retired the final 20 batters he faced in this one. So in a league where the third time through the order, Daniel, teams start to get scared. Apparently, I joked, I think Yamamoto needed to put runners on first and third in the first just to get just to feel alive. It's like the people that's like, I need to get punched in the face just so I feel like I'm present. Yamamoto took it. He gives up 2 singles in the first inning. He gives up, I guess we're calling it a single, the ball that drops over Freddie Freeman's head in the second. Then he gives up a single off the wall to Vladimir Guerrero to put first and third in the third inning. And that was it. It was 20 straight batters after that from Yamamoto and pure domination. Struck out the side in the 8th inning. Completely dominant, Daniel. I don't want to say from start to finish because it was a tiny bit rocky at the beginning, but 20 straight in a World Series game on the road is bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah, like you said, it definitely was a little sketchy early. And you could say maybe the at-bat of the game was in the first inning when the first 2 guys get on. It's first and third, no outs, and the hottest hitter at the planet is standing at the plate. That could get out of hand real quick. And he strikes out.
2-0, by the way. Vladdy got ahead 2-0 in that game as well.
Yeah, and he strikes him out, gets out of that jam, gives up the 1 run in the third. And then after that, just absolutely nothing. He was commanding all of his pitches, and he's got a lot of them. So when he's on, it's basically impossible to hit because you have no clue what's coming, and he just has pinpoint command, And that's what we saw tonight. And it's also important to remember, like in this day and age, you don't see a lot of these complete games, but if you followed his career in Japan at all, like he used to do this all the time and on the biggest stage as well. So he's definitely not afraid of the moment, as we've seen in the last 2 postseasons. And yeah, he was incredible.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Daniel, because to your point, it's runners on first and third before the bottom of the first really feels like it's even gotten going. And it's Guerrero, it's Kirk, and Varsho coming up. And you're like, holy crap, are we really doing this? And he gets behind Vladdy 2-0. It's one thing to face this guy in an 0-0 count or even ahead and feel like he's going to kill you. 2-0, it feels like a recipe for disaster. He battles back, strikes him out with the curveball, gets Kirk to line out to Freddie Freeman. And then Varsho, you might forget, was ahead 3-0 in the count as the final batter. And guess what? Yamamoto battles back again and gets him looking at a curveball. Unbelievable stuff up and down from this guy. He's clearly the MVP of this game. And Anthony, to Daniel's point, like it's the performance, yes, but this is now back-to-back complete games. I don't think I can emphasize enough how insane that is to go complete game in the NLCS, to go complete game in the World Series against a Toronto offense that apparently everyone became terrified of overnight in Toronto, down 1-0 in the World Series. And this guy looked like he couldn't even be bothered to care about who was at the dish for the Blue Jays because he cooked them.
Yes. And aside from the time that we watch baseball in and that these guys play baseball in, where complete games are a thing of like, I mean, you just have to be absolutely completely dominant to even have a chance to do that.
Yeah.
He did it the first time against the Brewers team that you could make the argument the spotlight got a little too bright for them.
Yeah.
He did it tonight against, and to your point, Jeff, about like all of a sudden this is the greatest offense that's ever existed in Toronto. We can slow that down a little bit, but it is, I think, probably miles more competent in how they approach at bats than the Brewers had been.
Totally.
And he put them away in the same way.
Yeah. And again, and we talked about after the first one, he had struggled a little bit in the start that he made earlier in the postseason. And so for him to rebound the way that he did was insane. They put up this graphic and it was before the game finished, but his pitch count by inning, 23 pitches in the first, we mentioned. That's runners in first and third with nobody outs. He gets out with no run scored because he strikes out 2 of their best hitters. After that, I'm just going to read you pitches by inning. 10, 13, 6, 8, 11, 8, 14, and 12. He went 8 straight innings, Daniel. You pitched 8 straight innings with no more than 14 pitches. And oh, by the way, the inning he went 14 pitches, you want to know why? Because he struck out the side in that inning. You need a few extra pitches to get 3 strikeouts in that one. I am running out of words to describe how dominant he was. Like, I'm just trying to embed in my mind the dominance we saw tonight, because this was not just like, man, that was awesome. This is like one of the greatest pitching performances from a Dodger ever when you consider the moment.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And usually when you see like the way you just described that pitch count, like usually it's like, oh, like guys are smoking balls. They just happen to be right at guys and he's getting lucky or whatever the case may be. But that was not what it was tonight. Like I think there was a span there for like 5 straight innings where the ball didn't even leave the infield. Like he was in complete command. Like you said, he struck out the side there in the 8th and was just getting a lot of, soft ground balls, which some of those were falling in yesterday early in that game against Snell, and it was frustrating. But today, outside of that pop-up which is insane and was ruled a hit, but outside of that, the defense behind him was exceptional, and he was just in complete control.
To add to that a little bit too, like the pitch count talk, that was with the Freddie Freeman dropped pop-up, right? That added some pitches to that count. But also, like, Jeff, you know me. I'm like, I can't get enough content after after wins. Like I hate watch other teams streams and podcasts and
it's a guilty pleasure of yours. We know, Anthony. I
know. I want to hear what they're saying.
Got a few Padres podcast subscriptions. We know the deal.
For sure. But today, last night and this morning, not last night because I was watching Luka drop 49 after the Dodger game to make me feel a little bit better. But
nice
this morning,
there.
yeah, for sure. I went and watched all the content that I had missed the night before, and a lot of the talk was about like the Blue Jays at bats, which total credit to them, right?
Yeah.
Fouling pitches off, working deep counts, not swinging and missing. Jeff, you had a great tweet about the 2-strike performance that the Blue Jays had in game 1, and all of these things. And it was like, man, like maybe the strength of this Dodger pitching staff won't line up with the Blue Jays and what that lineup is best at.
Yeah.
That got completely shut down tonight with the swing and miss stuff from Yamamoto.
Yeah. And that was the talk last night, right? Like Blake and I were arguing a bit because the question was like, this is ultimately going to come down to Dodgers pitching versus Blue Jays hitting. And we know the Blue Jays, they whiff less than anybody else in Major League Baseball this season. And last night that was on display. And my argument the whole time was like, I think Snell was just bad. Like, I think the Blue Jays are good at that for sure. But I think it had just as much to do with the Dodgers guy was just not on his game. And so the bet was that Yamamoto was going to come back and be different. And guess what? It's no walks. It's 8 strikeouts from Yamamoto tonight. And so, Daniel, to me, I still think this is going to be the key of the series is whether or not the Dodgers can put guys away, whether or not they can get enough swing and miss so that every ball isn't in play and you're just dealing with some batted ball luck. But tonight, Yamamoto, I think, put to bed a lot of the, oh my gosh, doom and gloom. Like the Dodgers are not going to be able to beat this unbeatable Blue Jays offense.
Yeah, I definitely think, the Blue Jays deserve a ton of credit for the game they had yesterday. But I agree with you. Like that was the worst Snell had looked in months, command-wise. And I still think like if Blake Snell's on his A game, he could shut down any lineup the same way Yoshinobu Yamamoto, when he's on his end game or on his A game, I should say, he could shut down any lineup. Like, and the Blue Jays are good, but they're not murderers row out there. Like, they could be pitched around and tonight, when your command is on, like it was for Yamamoto, you're going to be able to get guys out. But yeah, I still think like, the Blue Jays are going to score runs and yeah, the Dodgers offense came alive a little today, which was good to see. But the Dodgers are going to have to score, and put together at bats more consistently is how I would phrase it, just because for what was it, like a 6-inning stretch tonight, like it was just non-competitive at bat after non-competitive at bat. And luckily they had Yamamoto on his A game to keep it close, or else it could have gotten ugly. But yeah, I mean, the Blue Jays aren't going anywhere, and the offense is going to have to figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that. I know we've got a ton of super chats we're going to get to, but I do want to talk a little bit about the Dodgers offense, because when I wrote out the headline, it was they show signs of life. We talk a lot on this show, and I've been consistent. 5 is the number you've got to get to as an offense every single time. They got to 5 tonight. And I think it's worth pointing out, like, there are good pitchers in the league. Like Kevin Gausman, when he is right, is really good. The splitter's nasty. The fastball is good. And so I don't have this expectation the Dodgers are just going to go for 10 against every single pitcher. Like the other team, right, is the famous they drive Benzes too. They're in the World Series too over there. Like something had to have gone right for them. But the Dodgers offense, to me, this is like the Dodgers offense. I'm not even going to say firing on all cylinders. But guess what? They only had 3 at-bats with runners in scoring position. They got the 1 hit in Will Smith. Then Will Smith hits the homer. Then Muncy hits the homer. Then Freddie Freeman gets hit by pitch that's called a wild pitch because Freddie Freeman wanted to stay in the box, which was weird. Will Smith beats out the double play. Like, they got to 5, Anthony, and 5 has always been my number. And so if you get to 5, I don't blame the offense. They got to 5 tonight. It wasn't pretty. To Daniel's point, I think we talk about Yamamoto retiring 20 in a row. Gausman retired 17 in a row. And then Will Smith took him deep. And then 2 batters later, Muncy took him deep and he was gone. So the offense wasn't great tonight, but this was like the good enough version. If we get this version of the offense, I'm going to feel good about the next week of my life.
Yeah, Gausman was cruising. He was cruising, and it was frustrating because he was making mistakes. And look, part of that is that the lineup is conscious of the splitter, and they're guarding against other things, and sometimes 94 feels like 98, even if it's right down the middle. And they were missing a lot of pitches that this lineup, even when guys are sort of going bad, a guy like Andy Pages might not miss. Like, he'll run the barrel into one of those, right? Like at some point. And so it was frustrating. And then it felt like they started to say, you know what, we're just going to cheat on this thing.
Yeah.
And in our group chat, I said, this feels like a crooked number time.
Yeah.
And I was watching the game with my brother and my dad, and I said, just stop stop waiting on it. Just start cheating on the fastball because he's going to make a mistake with it. Like his command wasn't great. He just kept getting away with things.
Yeah.
And so the Will Smith shot, like,
got all of it.
Perfect. It was the perfect encapsulation of like cheat for something, like, because he almost hit it foul and it was a fastball, right? And so I think after that, obviously, then like, you know, the dent in the armor, and they kind of pierced him and all that stuff. But I do feel good that they found it late, but I don't feel good that like some of the approaches were just bad and non-competitive, like you mentioned. I want to see more out of this offense, and because we know what they can do. We know how patient they can be and how they can work and grind out at bats. And then, you know, and the home runs are almost like that is when the snow falls off the cliff. That's the avalanche, because they can do this in a lot of different ways. And it feels like over the course of the first 2 games, they've been too maybe like in their heads, like too much to the scouting reports. And like when the other pitchers have made mistakes, they have not been able to capitalize on them. And we saw a little bit of that in the beginning, but maybe this gets them going now.
Yeah, Daniel, where are you at? Because I'm torn. Everything Anthony is saying makes sense. They missed a ton of mistakes from Gausman. They didn't punish. And yet I'm stepping back and I'm saying, like, they did score 5. They did get 2 balls over the fence against Gausman. They did get him out of the game. They did pile on 2 extra runs late. Like, does it feel like we're maybe being too nitpicky on the offense on a night like tonight? Or is it fair to say they got lucky tonight and this still needs to be better?
Yeah, I don't think we're being too nitpicky just because, like, this is the World Series here and the time is now. Like, there's no more, you know, pushing it off or whatever. But I just think the concerning part for me, and we've talked about this, was like Anthony mentioned, all the mistakes that they were missing. Like, similar to how we were just talking about Yamamoto. Like, if Gausman was just, you know, dotting corners all night, like, that's, you know, you just tip your cap on a night like that.
Yeah,
but he wasn't doing that for most of the night. Like, he was making a lot of mistakes, and the Dodgers weren't doing, you know, anything with them. And it is important to note, like, he is their ace, and he was one of the better pitchers in the league this year. And like, I feel like that the fastball splitter combo is like the deadliest combo in baseball right now. Like, if you have a good splitter and a fastball at like 96, 97, like, that's just really hard to hit. And so that played a part as well. But the key to the game is punishing mistakes. And when we see the Dodgers at their best, that's what they're doing. And yeah, they did, you know, end up scoring 5 runs tonight. Will had some great at bats. Muncy, you know, takes a great swing the other way, and then they tacked on a couple late. But it definitely, you know, in these 2 games in Toronto, obviously a very small sample, it didn't feel like they were clicking offensively, and that could change at any time. We know how talented they are, so I'm not like overly concerned, but it's go time right now, and you want to see guys at the very least, like, you know, taking good at bats and you know, inspiring confidence moving forward.
Yeah, and I guess that's the good news is, in spite of everything we just said, they got the job done tonight, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the beauty of this team. And if you want to criticize the money and what it buys you, I think it buys you nights like tonight when you're like a B or a B- offensively, and yet, oh yeah, Will Smith and Max Muncy are in this lineup too, and they both have the ability to go yard at any point. And guys at the bottom of the lineup can load the bases to get to Mookie Betts taking a walk and Freddie Freeman getting hit by the pitch and all of those types of things. Like, I think this is one of those, like, you win in the excesses you have, even if it's not your bread and butter right down the middle, Anthony.
That's totally what it is. And like, I've been on social media sort of like pounding the table about like this narrative about the money and the payroll and how it's just lazy and it's hacky at this point for people to talk about it. But when you do talk about it, the point that is missed is the one you just made, I think, is that what it really does for you is it allows you to, like, over the course of 162, miss on a guy's season, right? Like, Teo didn't have a great year. Mookie didn't have a great year. It allows you to pave over those potholes a little easier.
Yeah.
And then I think in a shorter sample size, like in the playoffs, what it allows you to do is say, like, we have these other sort of maybe tier 2 and tier 3 guys that we've paid, like, maybe not tonight, but like a Tommy Edman, for example, like that kind of player, a Max Muncy, who anybody could have had. Like, I don't want to go through this whole thing of like how, you know, the narrative is kind of stupid, but you have these other guys that are able to say, like, all right, these other dudes aren't covering, or they're not doing what you would hope that they would do, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's really where those financial advantages come into play over the course of 8 months.
Yeah.
It's not just like we have Shohei Ohtani, because 4 teams made the same offer to Shohei. He chose the Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right. The Phillies offered more money to the guy who just threw a second consecutive complete game in the playoffs. He chose to go to the Dodgers. So it's not that other teams can't afford these guys. It's that what the money allows you to do when those guys maybe don't perform.
Yeah. Yeah. They have more lottery tickets, right? Like they just got more swings. They just get more swings at the piñata, basically. It's not 3 guys. And if these 3 guys are off, bummer. It's like, well, if these 3 guys are off, the 4 right behind them are all really freaking good all-star level players as well. So let's get to some super chats. Ivan says, that was fun. Happy for Pages. LOL. Dude needed that. I was joking on Twitter. Bruce and I had the over on 1.5 hits for Pages in the World Series. We're halfway there, Bruce, baby. We're halfway there for Pages. And then he almost got picked off, which would have meant we may never see Pages again. So kudos to Pages for saving his job by about 3 centimeters, getting back to second base. D-Nation Life, this might be off topic. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is about as off topic as it gets, D-Nation, but we appreciate the super chat. Which Jonas brother you got? Nick, Joe, or Kevin? I'm a Joe guy. Bring it back to LA. Let's go Dodgers. I'm a Nick Jonas guy. He was on The Voice. My family likes The Voice, so shout out to Nick Jonas.
Which one was on the MMA show?
No idea. I mean, Nick feels like the only guy who's famous. My wife asked if I could name all 3 today, and I said Nick, and I remember Joe. And if you would have given me a million guesses, Kevin would not have been a name that I would have mentioned. So shout out to Kevin Jonas.
Kingdom is the show.
Kingdom. Okay.
Kingdom is the show, and it was
I love it.
Nick. Nick is the guy.
There you go. See, Nick.
When
Nick,
you say he was on an MMA show, do you mean like he was fighting on it, or was he like just part
like
of
a
it?
drama. Is this a drama? I thought that too, Daniel. Was this just like a dramatized version about fighters, Anthony?
Yes, it's a
okay.
like scripted show. Yeah.
Okay.
He was part of a MMA family, and he was one of the fighters.
Gotcha.
Daniel, just to clarify, are you saying you are skeptical of the idea that a Jonas brother may have been involved in real life physical contact? I just want to clarify there.
That is indeed what I was getting at. Yes, Jeff.
Okay.
I will say this. I was ready to have physical contact with the Jonas brother when they decided to do a halftime show during the middle of the game.
Crazy. It was insane. And
hey, that shifted the momentum there. The Dodgers kind of started getting going after that. So hey, we'll take it for one night only. We don't need to see that in any other games, but we'll take it tonight.
Absolutely. 300 says dominance. 3 more to go. Tim, $325 million well spent. Let's go Dodgers. There was somebody in here who here we go. Cordenas, Josh Reddick looks even more stupid with his tweet after his last 2 games. Back-to-back complete games is insane. 3 more wins. Kendrick performance, ? What do we think, Anthony? We talked about this and you mentioned it. Kendrick for game 3. Do we think this is going to happen?
I really hope so. I think like if they're able to make that connection, they can't turn it down. I'm going to come off real quick to show something. I just got this. My birthday is in a couple of weeks, but one of my cousins knows how big of a Kendrick fan and thinks that like he should perform.
It's the same color as your virtual background.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of tough to see. It's a black and white poster of Kendrick sitting on the GNX with the big belt buckle. If anyone is a Kendrick fan, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm for it. I would not mind a duo of Ice Cube and Kendrick coming out just because Ice Cube was good luck.
Yeah.
It seemed like last year. So bring them both out.
Yeah. J-Rod says Yamamoto can't be stopped. Time to take it to LA. Dry Protoss, 18 innings, 2 earned runs. Just wow. That's Yoshinobu Yamamoto's line in the last couple of games. Aaron, the vibes are back. Yamamoto, wow, absolutely shut down an awesome lineup. These Jays are human. The Dodger offense finally showed up. Feel great. I feel great too, Aaron. It's a lot. It's relative to where I was. There's a word better than great somewhere out there, and we've moved to that. Peyton says, I knew once Yoshi could get out of the first, he was only going to get better and more efficient. He's like an engine that needs to be warmed up. Sheehan is similar. Again, once that first inning passed him by, it felt like it was another gear. Again, did not throw more than 14 pitches in an inning from that point forward. Phil, Yamamoto, the poise, saw it last year too. This guy is unreal. Bats need to get going and stop with the dumb mistakes. Hope we close it out in LA, but need to get at least 2 of 3. There was a start that Yamamoto had in the postseason, and I'm blanking on if it was the DS round, maybe, where it was like in a tense spot. Maybe the bases were loaded, and Yamamoto was seen like calming things, like motioning, like calm down, we're fine, to Will Smith. Do you know what I'm talking about, Anthony? Like, to me, that was the eye opener.
Yeah, I do know what you're talking about, and he's done it a couple of times.
Yeah.
He has a steady pulse in these big moments. He really does. Like, he continues to prove it over and over again, whether it's a big regular season game, like, hey, the Padres just tied us, or, like those kinds of situations over the course of the summer. And then he's proven it 4 or 5 times in the playoffs now that, like, yeah, you know what? I am capable of throwing a clunker in there every once in a while.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I'm like 6, 7 innings, shutty, 1 run, that kind of ball. Like, I'm that dude.
Yeah. It's crazy. The chat is letting me know that it was the wild card against the Reds that occurred. So Gabriel says, and that's all she wrote. Game over. Dodgers win, baby. 10 down, 3 to go. Go Dodgers. Yama, 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 yama. Absolutely. Francisco, our glorious king, Yamamoto, leading us to victory. David, the win was better. The dinner I had at Fazul's tonight. Let's go Dodgers. Love you guys. Jay Teaser, Yama is writing a legend that will live forever. Daniel, this is the part I keep coming back to in my mind as I'm processing this in real time. Like, in our generation, there's a guy like Walker Buehler, and what he has been able to do on the biggest stage in the postseason will be the stuff of legends forever. Obviously cemented by getting the final 3 outs last year. It does not feel like a stretch to say Yamamoto is in that category, because as great as some of those Buehler moments have been, and they were great, Yamamoto just did something that no Dodger pitcher has basically ever done in our lifetime, with back-to-back complete games in these settings. And so I try not to get ahead of myself. I don't claim to be a history buff. I don't claim to be a Dodgers history expert, especially given the amount of years I've lived on this planet. But it's hard for me to believe, Daniel, that when it comes to like postseason performers, Yamamoto is not inching towards the Mount Rushmore of Dodgers pitchers.
Yeah, and we're just kind of scratching the surface here.
Yeah.
Like, what is he, 26, 27 years old, like 12-year deal? Like, by the time that contract's over, we're probably going to see him pitch more Dodger postseason innings than anyone, we've ever seen. I don't know, where Kersh is at as far as innings, but we expect the Dodgers to be in the postseason every year. And as long as, Yoshi's healthy, I'll knock on a little wood over here for health, of course, but he's going to be in the mix to be starting game 1 or game 2 every single year. And to this point, he's delivered in every spot. Like, outside of that Phillies outing, the Dodgers have won every single postseason game that he's started. Like, this guy, the bigger the game, it just feels like, he's at his best every single time. So yeah, it's fun to watch. And of course, anytime you could save the bullpen by going the distance, like, that's another added bonus as well. Like, we were able to head back to LA tied 1-1, and they haven't even seen Roki Sasaki yet, so that's good as well for later in the series.
Yeah. Brandon says Yama is him. Bench Andy Pages next game. Teo needs to move down the order to 7th or 8th. I'd love to see Call in the lineup next game. Shohei is struggling. SMH. Real quick, Anthony, this is a theme that we've seen a lot, and it'll probably come up in some more super chats. Pages does get the hit. The at-bats have not looked great. You could make a case Teoscar Hernandez was the worst-looking Dodger offensively. I believe he was, at one point, he was 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. I don't know if that, and then he got pulled. So he was 0 for 4 with 4 Ks, and it's more uncompetitive at-bats, watching strikes right down the middle, swinging at pitches not even close. Would you mess with this group? Would you take Pages out and replace him with Alex Call? Would you move Teoscar Hernandez down in the lineup? Because they could go righty-lefty, with, basically Max Muncy on the other side of Will Smith, with Freddie Freeman there as well. But how would you handle this?
Yeah, I would give Pages a day at least.
Okay.
I think we're at that point now. He did hit a ball hard.
He's hot though, Anthony. He's got a hit in.
He's one for his last one.
He's
one for his last one, baby. He's like,
in the
last month he's been on fire.
Dave, that means he's found it and he will be in the lineup. So I don't expect him to be out of it. But yeah, I was saying before the game started, like I thought it was time to give Alex Call a run. Even with the righty stuff, I just thought that the at bats he could give you would be more competitive at least. He may throw up an 0 for 4 with a walk or a seeing eye single or something like that, but like the at bats from Pages before tonight were just so completely uncompetitive. Yeah. And even if he got ahead of the count, the guys just kept throwing balls outside of the zone and he was getting himself out. Yeah. He got the hit tonight and then he did hit a ball hard to right field. I think it was that got caught, but okay. I had usually been a guy who was like, you know what, let's leave him in there because he's talented enough that if he puts the barrel on one, it can leave the yard. Yeah. But before tonight, it was just like, he's not even close to that. It feels like right now. So, and I'm sure Dave will look at tonight and go, that's all the evidence I need that he's going to start the rest of the series. But I wouldn't mind seeing it. Like if Alex Call was in there for game 3, I would not bat an eyelash. Yeah.
Daniel, I think the last point that Anthony made about maybe he runs into something after a night like tonight is probably the reason, right? Where you're like, on a night where you ran into 2 and that was the difference and you won the game because Smith and Muncy both caught one. Yeah. If you were going to make a case for Andy Pages, we're all joking when we say he's won for his last one, because while it is true, I don't think any of us believe he's found anything. That would be the argument, right? Is like he at least has the ability to put a ball over the fence and change the complexion of a game with one swing. Alex Call does not have that.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I land on it as well. And it's kind of the same thing with Teo. Like, yeah, the at-bats have been brutal, but it's just a higher ceiling with those guys. Like, they could, change a game with one swing of the bat. Like, Alex Call would probably give you better at-bats, like, on the whole. But, you're hoping for a walk, or you're hoping he gets hit by a pitch or bloops one in, which those things help, no doubt. But like you said, like we saw tonight, like one swing oftentimes can change these postseason games. So yeah, like I would understand it with Pages more than Teo. Like, to me, Teo, like, yeah, it's been brutal, but he's shown time and time again, like that he could come up with the big game-changing type hit. Like, Pages, we know he can do that based on his regular season. He hasn't really shown that in the postseason yet. So, I fall in line with Anthony, like, in the sense of if Alex Call's in the lineup, like, I wouldn't bat an eye and I'd be like, all right, fine. Like, it's the 9-hitter, like, so be it, whatever. But I would just stick with what they got there. Like, I don't even know, Alex Call probably could play center, but I don't think, you're getting plus defense out there. Like, Pages has been good in the outfield. And at the end of the day, you just hope he could run into 1 or 2 in this series, and that'll kind of make it worth it.
Yeah. Cole from the top rope. Teo is waiting for the bedroom magic in Los Angeles. So there you go, Cole. This is a family show at Cole. Come on. Come on now. Sam, another gem caught by Ben Rortvedt, which if you know, it's a great super chat.
Brilliant.
Super chat. So good. So good. Niles says 1-1 is a good start, yet the lackluster performance from the offense is concerning. Thankfully, we have through and through slugging to overcome bad at bats. Another pitching clinic. Anthony is right. Yama is the man. Absolutely. So I think we're on the same page there. Jose. Okay, so the Toronto offense can be stopped. Phew. There you go. It's a reminder that good pitching beats good hitting every day of the week, as some people.
And I think it's more evidence too, Jeff, that it wasn't so much that Toronto is just this juggernaut offensively for game 1. It was that Blake Snell was not the Blake Snell we had been accustomed to since he returned from the IL. Like, he was very off. And even though it might not be like I'm just throwing repetitive meatballs down the middle of the plate, he's not sharp in a different way, right? And we sort of seen that. And I think this just proves that, yeah, it wasn't that this is just this unstoppable force offensively. It's just that the pitching was not great for the Dodgers in game 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron said, had to win today, just steal one against the Jays' 2 best arms. Now we face their 2 pitchers who have been shaky with Glasnow, Shohei, and an angry Blake Snell after. We have a chance to string some together. This is the other piece, Daniel. Not only did they split in Toronto and regain home field advantage, there are more games at Dodger Stadium than Toronto from here on out. But again, while the Dodgers had pitching advantages in game 1 and game 2, the advantages only grow in game 3 and game 4 between who the Dodgers will be sending and the Blue Jays. And so it does feel like every game from here on out, at least the next 2, feels more gettable than the one prior to it.
Yeah, for sure. And that's also partly why I probably wouldn't make any lineup changes. Like, let's give, Pages, Teo, let's give these guys a chance against some of their weaker pitchers, like see if they can maybe get going. And then, if they still don't do much the next two games and you're getting back to you Savage and Gossman, then maybe you could look to make a change there when your season's kind of on the line if you're in that spot. But yeah, if you look at the pitching matchups back in LA, like the Dodgers have the advantage, and in all of them, they will have a rested bullpen as well after, Yamamoto threw a complete game tonight. They didn't really use any of their high leverage guys last night, and then an off day tomorrow. So yeah, they're in a good spot right now, but of course we all know playoff baseball, one swing could change everything. So you got to, keep putting the pressure on and come out in game 3. Hopefully Glasnow gives them what he's been giving them this postseason, and then the offense could get going against Max Scherzer. How great would that be, right? Like the full circle moment after 2021 and whatnot to just light him up in the World Series would be glorious.
Yeah, Scherzer and Bieber, the two guys set to pitch for the Blue Jays in these next two games against Glasnow and Shohei Ohtani. Ice Pick, I hope Yoshi put their hitters in a deep freeze. Let's not go back to Toronto. Good night from Austria. Austria, I think that's a first that I've seen in a super chat, so we appreciate you. Good night, good morning, whatever time of day it is over there. But yes, let's not go back to Toronto. Would be the sentiment I think we all share. Dakota said after the game, Yamamoto said the difference between the early trouble and the rest of the game was that he, quote, got rid of unnecessary tension. That's one way of putting it. Unnecessary tension that is the Blue Jays offense and batters reaching base. So I'm glad that we got rid of that one.
It's just baseball at the end of the day, right?
He's done it twice, right? He's like, the Churio home run and,
Yeah, it's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anthony wants to know, are baseball halftime shows a thing now?
Let's hope not.
Please no.
Hopefully
Please no.
Ravens Moreland asks, feel any pressure on that over/under 2 hits for Pages in the series? No, I'm feeling great, baby. He's on pace for like 100 hits.
Halfway there.
Yeah, we got a couple games to go at least. My guy's getting another hit. Jonathan asks, either Pages has to come out or I'm going to need a stent put in. Imagine if he was out at second. Also, feel Anthony on hate watching. Last postseason, watching John Boy clips was chef's kiss. Absolutely. I get it. Zip code 0. I know this is crazy talk. Should Ohtani get moved down in the lineup? That's a quick no for me. I understand the concerns, but he's Shohei Ohtani. And as we've said multiple times on this show, he is impacting things in ways that go well beyond just what his box score is. Obviously, his box score is the most important thing he provides as a hitter, but it does things for the guys right behind him, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman. It also does things for the guys in front of him, whether that's Pages or Edman or whoever. So, Daniel, real quick, would you even slightly consider moving Shohei Ohtani down in the lineup?
No, absolutely not. Let's not forget, we're 2 games removed from this guy hitting 3 home runs in a game. So yeah, I want him taking the most at-bats.
Yeah. Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this, Jeff, for a few times over the course of the season. I'm a firm no on this. We don't touch it. I was like, I could see on the days that he pitches, maybe dropping him to second, especially at home. And, he shut me up with that last game, obviously. So I'm just like, just don't mess with the guy.
Yeah. Hawaiian Kira asks, can you say happy Yamamoto Day, Jeff? On one hand, I admitted defeat, and next year I will happily celebrate Yamamoto Day. My guy Kershaw is still alive.
Passing of the torch.
It's true.
It is. There you go, Daniel. That's what it is.
There's no more Kershaw start days, but out of reverence, it's like you can't celebrate the man's death when he's standing right there. He's right there, Kira. Come on. Trolley Dodger asked, if the offense gets going this series, ends in LA. Surprised they're going to Scherzer over Bieber in game 3. They should get to Toronto's pitching. We just talked about this. I mean, that's the other piece with the offense, right? Is I feel like they showed signs of life. Some people might accuse me of being too optimistic with the Dodgers offense, but the pitching is not going to get better. They haven't seen a ton of the Blue Jays bullpen, in part because of how bad their approach has been. And yet they get a couple runs off the bullpen. We know this bullpen isn't loaded with guys that are, dominant other than Hoffman, who could have gotten out of the inning if Jimenez didn't make the stupid play and trying to turn 2. So it does feel like, Anthony, like if I set the over-under on Dodger runs at 4.5 from here on out, again, I'm the optimist, so I'm asking you, would you be taking the over in every single game for the rest of this series?
I'm the pessimist, and I think now I would take the over. Yeah. And not so much that I think like they've found it and they're going to turn it on now. I just think the pitching is getting worse for Toronto.
It's a great point. Yeah. Either one of those things, right? Either the pitching needs to be as bad as we think, not bad, but as average as we think it's going to be, or the offense needs to get going. Daniel, if I set the over under at 4.5, would you be taking the over for the Dodgers offense every game from here on out?
Yeah, I definitely think that's, the sharp side to be on. Like, more often than not, this team's going to find a way to get to 5 runs, even on a night like tonight, where for 2 hours it looked like they didn't have anything. They somehow find a way. So yeah, I would. And like you guys were saying, they're going to be facing worse pitching. Like, I know Scherzer had a good outing in the last series or whatever, but if you look at the stats for the whole season, he's on his way out, similar to Kershaw. So I honestly, I would bet on an offensive explosion in Game 3 before I would bet on like a 1 or 2 run performance.
Yeah, that's a great call. Rosemary says, if I ever have a kid, his name will be Yamamoto Rodriguez. I love this. That was my favorite tweet after the Ohtani game.
Yeah.
25 years from now, when there's a bunch of Mexican families, they're going to have to explain to their kids why they're named Ohtani Rodriguez. So just perfect. Dominic says, if the Dodger offense gets going, Dodgers in 5. Yeah, I think we all agree on that. Carlos says, Yama would have a complete game shutout if no hit by pitch on Springer. But here's the good news. George Springer did get a fastball to the wrist. So, I mean, come on. We can't be that sad about it in hindsight, right? In real time, sure. But, I mean, if you're going to win and he gets hit by a pitch almost twice, come on. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. Cole says, Snell waiting for Game 5 no-hitter to win the World Series MVP. Yeah. Look, there's a couple guys on this team, Anthony, that, like, when they get mad, sign me up. Ohtani is one of them. He heard all the noise in the last series, and then he goes nuclear. I tweeted it. When Gausman quick pitched Muncy or whatever the hell he did in that last at bat, I was like, this is not the guy you want mad at the plate. And what did he do? He took him deep. So Snell feels like he fits in that category. He feels like he's got a notebook full of negative tweets probably written in it. And so I don't know. Is there anybody else on that list, Anthony, of Dodgers that, like, if they get mad, like Will Smith, who cares? That guy, we don't even know if he gets mad.
I don't know. I was going to say Will Smith, honestly. Okay. I feel like he's a quiet guy, but if you piss off Will Smith, he doesn't take that. Like, he's had some back and forth behind the plate with some guys that, like, he's quiet, but you don't want to piss off Will Smith.
There you go.
Well, maybe he saw some of the pitch framing numbers prior to tonight's game and went out and got 3 RBIs.
Like that narrative,
No, anyone else, Anthony?
Snell would be like at the top of that list for me on this roster. Like, I think he is that dude. Like, any negative comments on the YouTube video for like 26 letters or whatever the rap video is called, whatever the song is called, like, he's marked those down. He knows, right? Like, anybody on Twitch who's talked some noise to him when he's playing video games, like, he knows those guys. He is at the top of the list for me. I fully expect him, when it gets back to him, he comes out and he shoves.
Yeah. Also, another guy I want to throw in the mix as well is Mookie. Like, he's similar to Will Smith. He's not the most talkative guy out there, but if you look at the stats when there's an intentional walk in front of Mookie, the numbers speak for themselves there.
That's a great point.
You think I should play right field? I'm just going to go win a fielding Bible award then.
Yeah, my goodness. Some of the plays that selfish man made at shortstop today were, I mean, he just makes these casual backhands and then throws strikes to Freddie's eye level. Like, it's just, and somebody, I can't remember if it was a text that I got or if it was on Twitter, but Muncy's been nails down at third. Now, he's probably due for a little hiccup somewhere, but like, there were some hard hit balls down at third base and shortstop that those two gentlemen handled with no concern. So kudos to the
real quick side note on that. So impressive that he has fixed the one big problem in his defense that from last year and even a little bit early on this year. His throws now, I want balls hit to him, and because I always felt like he was going to field it, he was going to glove it. The throws for him were always the issue. Not a problem anymore.
Yeah, he's been great. Peyton says, I'm confident in Ohtani's pitching, uncertain about Glasnow. Any concerns by y'all? I've got a guy sending me
had this
Glasnow gear.
conversation before.
I got a guy on Twitter that's sending me some baseball gear because he doubted Glasnow a couple of series ago. So, Daniel, any concerns for you? Like, I think it's safe to say he's the fourth best pitcher in this group of Snell, Yamamoto, Ohtani, and Glasnow, which is obviously not as disrespectful as it sounds when you think about who 1 through 3 are. But to me, it's up and to the right for Glasnow over the last couple of starts. Not any reason for concern.
Yeah, I feel comfortable with all our starters on the mound. Like, they've all been great. And to me, like, it comes down to, what does their command look like? Are they executing their pitches, like, more so than like being scared of the lineup they're facing? Like, to me, if Glasnow has his A game similar to Yoshi, like, they won't be able to touch him. So yeah, I mean, when you look at the pitching matchups for the next 2 games, like, I feel like they're both, huge advantage Dodgers. So yeah, I don't have any concerns about Glasnow. He's been throwing the ball well.
I'll add into that. Like, he is clearly the 4th starter in this group. If you talk to scouts, his stuff, like some scouts, his stuff is the best raw stuff of the rotation.
Yeah.
But aside from all that, if you put him on, like, I don't know, 25, 26 other teams, he might be their number 1.
For Toronto, he would be, right? Like, I think he's better than Gausman.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I wonder, like, he's also a guy who has a lot of experience in the American League. And so if you're talking about pitchers who have some familiarity with, like, the guys in this lineup having faced Vladdy, I'd have to go look at the numbers. But I think I guess Ohtani pitched in the American League for a couple of years as well. But I would imagine Glasnow probably has the most experience against some of these lineups as well. So Cole said, we want an angry Ohtani in game 4, see NLCS. Yeah, I mean, look, they started chanting, we don't need you to Ohtani. And what did he do in his next at bat? He hit a home run. So, I mean, like, again, I think that man feeds on that more than the nice guy thing would suggest. Tim says it was nice that Canada could host 2 World Series games. Can't wait to see the Dodgers clinch it at home in LA for the first time on Wednesday. Let's hope, Tim. Let's hope.
Nice.
That was my prediction. And I wasn't feeling great about it last night. Feeling a little bit better about it today. Ram Lakers. This might be Daniel's burner. Hard to know. Lakers.
I like this guy.
Great win. 3 to go. Going forward, who's the first arm out of the bullpen in a 1-run game in the 7th? Blake Trinan?
I mean, with Vesia not here, there's not too many options because, like, I guess you could go to
Sheehan
Roki.
And Bonda would be the other 2 guys that you could maybe make a case for, and they look terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're lefty matchups, right, then I think it's Bonda. But, like, not to rehash this, but I thought Trinan was the guy for game 1 in that situation once they dug themselves into that hole, which there was a myriad of variables, in my opinion, that played into that. So I would say Blake Trinan, unless it's like you're facing lefty, righty, lefty, then I may just go to Banda.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I float a crazy question for you all? So in game 1, the game's like 1,000,000-4, whatever the score was. And I tweeted, man, it's Kershaw time. And then they go to Klein and Robleski. Am I crazy for thinking Kershaw might be way higher on the trust tree than people think and that Dave was saving him? Or did Dave just not give any craps? I don't think Kershaw, I want to make abundantly clear as the Kershaw guy, he would be last out of the bullpen if it was up to me. He would be last. I'm just saying, if Kershaw's not the guy that you burn in that spot in that game, and instead it's Klein and Robleski, I'm just wondering, Anthony, is it possible that Kershaw is closer to coming into some of these games than we all want to admit?
I had that same thought when we didn't see him. I don't know if maybe Dave felt it would be just completely disrespectful to put him in that situation, or if he was like, oh, I think you're better than this. I don't know what it is, but the thought did cross my mind. I'm with you on that.
Daniel, do you think it was more of a respect thing of like, I'm not going to do this to Kershaw with an off day after game 2?
That's what I think it was, honestly. And with the 3 games in a row coming up, like, if there's a similar situation in one of those 3 games, I would expect that's where we see Kershaw, not in like any sort of high leverage type situation. But for me, I just hope he gets in there. Like, I want to see this guy pitch again. Like, because if he doesn't, then the last time we will have seen him pitch was that Philly game, which obviously wasn't great. So, Yeah,
Hey,
I
Daniel,
don't
we're
want.
going to remember that. He wore it for the bullpen so that they can
Sure,
come back
sure.
the next night
did,
and
sure.
win game 4, baby.
Sure,
Heroic
I just want to
performance.
see it. Like, I need the Dodgers to blow them out one game so he could pitch like the 8th and the 9th in a win and look good in a low pressure situation, and that's kind of the last image we could have of him.
Do you want to throw your money in the pot, Daniel? Because Anthony and I are starting to pool money to pay whoever we need to pay for 10-1 Dodgers clinching game. Kershaw gets the final 3 outs of the World Series. Like there's I'm trying to figure out what amount of money I wouldn't put into that pot, and it's I haven't gotten to a number yet.
Yeah, that would be incredible. I thought kind of at the end of the NLCS, I thought we might see that, and they went to Roki, so that makes me feel like it's probably not going to happen. But hey, maybe if they have,
Daniel, that's because job's not finished.
Well, yeah, but maybe if like they have an 8 to 10 run lead or something, they'll feel comfortable enough. But I think they were up like 4 or 5 in that game against the Brewers, and they didn't feel comfortable enough there. So they would need a few more runs for that to happen.
I think too, it was a good chance for them to see Robo and Klein in the World Series. Maybe it was lower leverage, but just on a stage, right? Like, how sharp can these guys look? Can we trust them a little later?
Yeah. It's and again, I don't think the theory I floated was correct. It just had me wondering because of how Dave has used guys like Trinan, where it's way more on vibes and way more on veteran leadership than it seems to be on recent performance. And so, again, hopefully we don't really find out. 300 says, I was surprised that Freddie got hit on the foot and didn't react. They walked him, so same results, but it was strange. In hindsight, Daniel, A, the run scores either way, and B, I'm perfectly happy with Freddie Freeman up with runners on second and third and not him walking to first base. So veteran move by Freddie to stay up there.
Yeah, and I think it was their closer that was in the game in that spot. So like that's a tough righty-righty matchup. So Freddie was probably just like, hey, I'm our best chance to at least hit like a sac fly here and bring in another run. So I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know how you get hit in the foot. Again, these guys, I guess, are used to it, and just like everybody acts like it didn't happen. It was just, and the catcher seemed to know, right? Like Kirk didn't even move; he just stood there.
Yeah.
That was my thing. I don't know how Kirk wasn't like screaming like he got hit, like because I compared it in the moment to like if anyone's ever played slow pitch softball, and like let's say you're very good at slow pitch softball, and you get walked like on the guy can't throw a strike. I've done this before. A pitch is coming and it's not going to be a strike. And if the next ball you're going to first base, you just kind of swing through it on purpose to try to get another pitch. Like that's kind of what it felt like with him. I think had Kirk stopped the ball and the run doesn't score on a quote unquote wild pitch, then Freddie's like, hey, that ball hit
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Ray says, I hope the offense doesn't let Scherzer look like vintage Scherzer. Keep the foot on the gas. Let's go Dodgers. Yeah, let's hope. That
would suck. I'm just gonna say straight up, that would suck if Scherzer, shoves it on.
Kevin says chances they're hitting Springer on purpose 0 to 100. The answer is 0 because he was the leadoff hitter in an inning in a game that was 1-0.
Tie game.
Massive 0.
Yeah. Cordana says, is it just me or are the Dodgers being as aggressive as the Blue Jays in early counts? We can't be swing at the first pitch all the time. It does feel like, Daniel, there's this constant like, oh, we need to be more aggressive. The offense needs to be more aggressive. And then when they're aggressive and the guy has like 9 pitch innings because nobody's working counts, it's like, why aren't we working more counts? Why aren't we being more patient? Like, obviously it's a give and take, but the approach to me doesn't feel like it's the problem. It's just the missing of pitches that has been the problem. Like these pitchers aren't good enough to where I'm like, oh, be patient. I mean, as much as I want to get to the pen, it's like, we can tee off on Gausman, and we should have teed off on Gausman. They just missed the pitches.
Yeah, no, that's the exact point I was going to make. Like, if there's like Tarek Skubals on the mound, Paul Skeens, it's like, let's be patient, get that pitch count up. But these starters, they could hit them. So I'm totally on board with being aggressive. Like, you obviously want to be smart about it. You don't want to just go up there chasing. But like tonight, Gausman was throwing a lot of hittable fastballs early in counts. And to me, when that's happening, like, you got to be aggressive because if you're just, trying to be patient and now you're in the whole 0-2, 1-2, like you're going to see that nasty splitter and you have no chance. So, to me, like, obviously you don't want to be chasing and you don't want to be, helping the pitcher out. But I think all these starting pitchers are very hittable. And I like the mindset of let's go out there and be aggressive and let's put, a lot of runs on the board early in the game if we can.
Anthony, what do you think about like the approach? Obviously, not necessarily the results and missing the pitches, but are you okay with the aggressiveness that the Dodgers have had?
I thought the approach was kind of awful in game one. I
Yeah.
thought it got a little bit better in game two. They did a little more. They were a little more patient. They swung at more strikes. They just couldn't hit them because Gausman left a lot of strikes in hittable positions. So I was at least happy about that part of it. But yeah, I don't think like being aggressive for the sake of being aggressive is a recipe to get a guy into the 7th or 8th inning and him dominating you. Swinging at strikes when you should be is how I think when this offense is going well, that's what they do as good as anybody in baseball.
Yeah, 35% of pitches Gausman threw out of the zone the Dodgers swung at. That's not.
We don't like that. Yeah, we want him to be aggressive, but we don't like that.
Cordenas asks, pro or con that Roki hasn't pitched in like over a week? To me, this is 100% a pro. This is a guy that like we have no idea what rest patterns actually help him or hurt him. And so the pro is that this team, the Jays haven't seen him yet, to me, Anthony.
Exactly. Yeah. Because you still think he's still operating as a starter because he's only been in this role for about a month.
Yeah.
And so, you don't know exactly how 2 games in 3 nights are going to like affect him long term. So I think the rest for him is definitely a pro.
Among Us Academy asking, when Freddie got hit on the foot by the wild pitch that allowed the run to score, why didn't he want a review to show hit by pitch and give him an RBI? He could care less about the RBI. And he was mostly concerned. The team was better off with runners at 2nd and 3rd and Freddie Freeman at the dish with 1 out, knowing that Will Smith is going to get to bat behind you. And, I don't know how galaxy brain he was going, but Teoscar Hernandez was 2 batters away. And let's just say I'd take Freddie Freeman at the plate over Teoscar Hernandez at the plate right now. So,
well, and when you see the Blue Jays intentionally walk him a pinch later, like they're telling you what they preferred.
They didn't want him hitting in that situation.
Yeah, they didn't want Freddie up there. So that tells you all you need to know.
David asks, I like the approach if they were trying to hit the ball in play, but seems like everyone is trying to win the game with a homer. Again, when it doesn't work, I hear you. It worked tonight. Like they hit 2 homers and they won because of those 2 homers. Those were the difference in the game. So I understand this. And this is just the life of a Dodgers fan, right, Daniel? Like, yes, the approach is going to frustrate you because they're going to hit home runs. But then guess what? It's 1-1 in the World Series because they hit those home runs tonight. And it might have been 2 home runs out of like 12 home run swings. But guess what? 2 was better than 0 and they won because of it.
Yeah. And I think it's so easy to forget like just how hard hitting is, especially when you're facing like really good pitching, in the World Series. Like it's a lot easier said than done, but yeah, you would like to see them, take better approaches. You just pointed out that stat of how many pitches they chased on. That's not great to see. But like you said, when Will Smith is ready for the inside fastball and is aggressive and hits it, 430 feet or whatever, like you're not saying he was too aggressive in that spot. Like, so I understand, the criticism here, but to me, it's just kind of like, let these guys do their thing. Like they know a lot more than we do about hitting and you just hope they could get to 5 runs like we've been talking about.
Yeah. And the sneaky one, by the way, is Freddie Freeman hit 2 balls that were real close to being homers to dead center field.
He just missed those.
He hit a ball 108 miles an hour that went 375 and another one that was 103.5 that went 360. So again, and the second of those was on the first pitch. So I'm like, yeah, he saw a pitch he liked. He just barely missed it. And normally Freddie seems to be locked in and not missing those. But there you go. David says, okay, you win, by the way, on this one. So
Jeff, cool stat.
Tonight, we all won tonight.
Yeah, exactly right, David. Exactly right. Go for it, Anthony.
This was tweeted out by the Just Baseball account, and our guy Blake reposted it. Only 4 hitters in postseason history have 15-plus homers and 60-plus walks. This is crazy. Manny Ramirez, Derek Jeter, Bernie Williams. Guess who the other guy is?
Max Muncy.
I think we could guess this one, yeah.
Max Muncy.
Hey, he was I tossed it out. He was my sneaky World Series MVP pick. I'm like, you throw all these righties and a guy who's not afraid of the moment. And, nobody's jumped out to anything yet. There's a long way to go, but a home run tonight is on Will Smith, probably the leader in the clubhouse, I would guess, just because it's so hard for a pitcher to win the award. I guess Yamamoto.
Well, the Dodgers have a pitcher that also hits, so let's wait till after Game 4 before we start.
And who waited until the last possible moment to walk away with that NLCS MVP?
Hey, as he showed, it only takes one game with him. So
torrential rain by the way, outside my window.
Muncy,
if my feed cuts out at any point, it's because a tree went down on a power line and your boy lost internet. So I'm just warning everybody. Don't worry about me. I hear the rain and hail smashing against things. So this is not Southern California over here. Back to back asks, what's your level of confidence in Glasnow? I don't want walks. Scale of 1 to 10, Anthony. 10 being fully confident, 1 being the opposite. Give me a number.
Yeah. No confidence in the guy. Yeah. I'm at like an 8 with them.
Okay.
Which, I'm the pessimist. So for me, that's that's probably like a 10
pretty
for
good.
most folks. Yeah. I said this before. Like, I don't understand the Glasnow like hate / concern / whatever you want to call it. Like, sure, he can get a little wild, but so can Snow. And maybe he doesn't get quite as deep into games, but this guy is just as capable as anyone in this rotation of going 6 innings, no runs, double-digit case.
Yeah, absolutely. 8 for Anthony. Daniel, what do you want to give us?
Man, he said he's the pessimistic one. I had the number 7 in my mind, so I guess I'm a little more pessimistic here. But I still feel like that's still really confident.
That means I'm turning a corner.
Yeah, there you go. But to me, like this comment says, the key is he limiting the walks, because that's when he gets in trouble. Like, he doesn't really get hit that hard, but a lot of times it's just he walks 3 or 4 or whatever, and he just kind of loses his command for a short period of time. So as long as he could avoid that, like Anthony was saying earlier, he has arguably, the best stuff on the staff, and he's looked good in his last 2 starts. So definitely really confident, but just, the command factor is kind of what's keeping me from being like a 9 or 10.
It's a reminder that the issue with Glasnow is never ability. It is availability. Yeah, so anytime he is actually healthy and pitching, it's not like anybody has ever been worried about that. I think that's a helpful reminder for putting Glasnow in.
You look at his first year with the Dodgers, sub-3 ERA, made the All-Star team, got hurt late, wasn't part of the playoffs, right? Which hurt his very short Dodger legacy to this point.
Yeah.
You look at him this year, 2 really, or whatever it was, 2, 3, 4, whatever, really bad starts to start the season, highlighted by the whole mud in the cleats meltdown in Philly.
Yeah.
Right. That left a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, mine as well. He comes back, sub-3 ERA the rest of the way, and then so far in the postseason, he's been a very good pitcher for them. So, you're right. It's availability for him, and I think he's doing a very good job in October of knocking off the stench of like he gets rattled too easy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Some stats to throw at you, our guy. By the way, give me an 8. I'll go with Anthony. 8 for Glasnow on that one. Matthew Moreno just tweeted, Yoshinobu Yamamoto broke the Dodgers postseason record, retiring 20 batters in a row tonight. It previously belonged to Carl Erskine, who retired 19 in a row in Game 5 of the 1952 World Series. So history there. This from Jack Harris of the LA Times. Yoshinobu Yamamoto gave up 5 runs in 3 innings in his postseason debut last year. Since then, 7 starts, 1.62 ERA, 44 innings, 40 strikeouts, and a 6-1 team record in those games. So, I don't know, 1.62 ERA and 7 playoff starts. That's like Madison Bumgarner level stuff.
A lot of them on the road too. These last 2 complete games were both on the road.
It's a great point.
Stud. He is just a complete stud.
Steven with the huge super chat. We appreciate it. Skubal and Skeens might be in the Cy Young race, but they ain't like Yamo. Can the national press give him some flowers already? The man's been pure poetry on the mound. This is how you do it, right? Like, this is how you insert yourself into that situation when you're the only game in town and everybody's forced to watch and your team gives up 11 runs in game number 1 and you come out on the road and do that. It's impossible not to notice. He will be the talking point on every sports show that decides to talk about baseball for the next 18, basically 2 days, because there isn't another game for 48 hours. And so I think you make a great point, Steven, that it's time for him to get his flowers. And I think among baseball people, he's gotten it right. I think that's the difference. he has not crossed over the threshold from like real baseball people to just like pop culture casuals. And I don't know if this is going to be good enough to do that, but this has cemented his place. If you listen to smart people talk about baseball, Anthony, Yamamoto's already been in that conversation. And again, I don't think he's Scooble and Skeens level necessarily. Those guys, the dominance they had over a regular season, you just can't ignore what he's doing at this point.
I think he goes into next season, and here is the ultimate, like, okay, everyone knows who this guy is now. I think he goes into next season, and he's one of your top 2 choices for National League Cy Young Award winner.
Yeah.
Because this year he was not that. He was like, you know, some, like you said, some smart people who knew, like, kind of predicted him as like a dark horse sort of guy. Like, even all of us were like, yeah, probably Blake Snell if he makes enough starts. And we were very wrong on that.
Yamamoto, top Cy Young finisher on the Dodgers this year. That was
I
had money on Yamamoto to win the NL Cy Young.
For sure.
He was the only one that stayed healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's the ultimate like sign of like, okay, this guy has made it on the national level. Like I really do think like when you see all those preseason award predictions, like he might get more than a few like, hey, Yamamoto National League Cy Young.
Daniel, what do you think about this? The sort of entering the conversation of the elite of the elite.
Yeah, I think he absolutely deserves it. And to me, like anyone who's denying it or trying to be a hater, like they just hate the Dodgers. That's just kind of what it comes down to. Because if you watch this guy, you know, pitch on the mound, he's an absolute joy to watch pitch. Like he's one of my favorite pitchers to watch just because he's got so many pitches and just pinpoint command with all of them. So the numbers speak for themselves. You just said what he's done the last 2 Octobers, and it feels like he's just kind of getting started here. Like we're going to see this for the next decade plus. So I'm sure over the next 10 years, he'll get plenty of praise if he keeps, you know, pitching like this.
You make a great point about how aesthetically pleasing it is to watch him pitch, because there's something obviously to watching a guy like Skeens just throw 103-mile-an-hour fastballs for like 8 innings and have a breaking pitch that comes off of it. Yamamoto, they made the point. I mean, it's a curveball that starts with the 7. It's the splitter that's low 90s. It's the fastball that's upper 90s. Like he just has 6 different pitches that he threw tonight, and all of them were effective. I mean, he threw 34 splitters, 25 fastballs, 23 curveballs, 13 cutters, 6 sliders, and 4 sinkers, according to Savant. He had a whiff rate of over 20% on over 25%, on 5 of those 6 pitches tonight. So like all of those, the average velocity on these pitches, 91, 96, 77, 91, 88, 95. Like, what the hell do you do if you're a hitter and you're walking up there and you're trying to guess on location? Now you got to guess on velocity, and you've got to guess if it's going left, right, up, or down. Like, that's the beauty of watching him pitch. And it's why I think, not to ramble, but I think it's why he's able to go 9 innings, Anthony. Because if you have 3 pitches, the third or fourth time you see somebody, it's predictable. There's nothing predictable about him. Like, because you can't sit on any of the 6 pitches that he threw tonight.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like you see him the first 2 times through the order, right? And you're like, all right, I fell behind in the count, and I'm going to see a splitter if you're a righty down and in, or you know, something like that, maybe a fastball up, those kinds of things. And then you get through the 3rd time, and you're like, okay, I kind of know what he's got. 2-2 count or something like that. I'm sitting on 2 things, maybe, let's say. And then he goes, well, here's a curveball that's 74 that you did not see coming at all, and it buckles your knees. And if you swing, you look like you're a complete giraffe that was just born, or you can take it for strike 3 and you look even dumber. Like he, you know, and I think that's where the repertoire is like, because it's so effective. And we've seen other guys who will like come in and be like, oh yeah, I can throw 6 pitches. I actually throw 3, but I have 6 in my pocket, and the other 3 just are completely ineffective.
Yeah.
When Yamamoto gets up there, toes the rubber, takes the ball, and goes, I have 6, and they can all be wipeout pitches if I want you.
Yeah. The fastball, the splitter, and the curveball are all like, there's guys that dream of, in major leagues, there's guys that dream of having one of those 3 pitches, and he's got all 3 of them and commands it for 105. It's crazy, crazy stuff.
I can't wait for the national conversations about like, is this guy the best pitcher in baseball?
Yeah, it's interesting. Cole says Glasnow's last start, he can empty the tank. He would be the Game 7 starter, but let's hope it doesn't get to Game 7 and the Dodgers win before then. So Robert says, feel confident with Glasnow. Jay's high contact approach means they will swing at stuff outside the zone. High risk, high reward, and I trust the stuff. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be some walks, probably, but yeah. Peyton, by the way, says I retract my Tyler concern after seeing his .68 ERA. That's this postseason, 13 and a third innings, 7 hits, 1 earned run, 18 strikeouts for Glasnow so far.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. I mean, there's walks, 8 walks, but still, yeah, you take it. And that obviously includes a relief appearance as well. In the 2 starting pitching performances, it's 11 base runners in 11 and 2/3 innings with 16 strikeouts. So pretty good. Among Us Academy, the Reddit Blue Jays mods are saying Dodgers had an expected batting average of 189, the Blue Jays 255 in game 2. The Blue Jays got unlucky on batted ball contact. What's your response? If
We're
you're
in the
just
World Series,
yeah,
I don't care.
Here's what I would say, because I'm an expected batting average guy. It does not work to add up all of the expected batting averages and do it that way. That's not.
Did they
how
not watch game 1?
Yeah. They hit 2 home runs. That's how the Dodgers won. They hit 2, and those were not that wasn't good luck, bad luck. If anybody got unlucky, it felt like the Dodgers had more balls that could have gotten out that didn't.
I mean, if you added up all the exit velocities on the hits that Blake Snell gave up yesterday, do they add up to 500?
Seriously. So shout out to Blue Jays Reddit. That's good stuff. There. Okay. Let's see. Oh, we got a food question. Zip code 0. Hot dog and a beer or In-N-Out and a shake watching the Dodgers? Daniel?
I would take In-N-Out and a shake more times than not, but obviously when you're watching a baseball game, you can't go wrong with a hot dog and beer, but I don't usually turn down In-N-Out if that's an option.
Yeah, with all due respect to a hot dog and a beer,
yeah.
In-N-Out and a shake is an easy one for me.
Venue matters here. Where your butt is at, if you're in a stadium, a hot dog tastes better and a beer tastes better in a ballpark. Otherwise, like in any other venue, it's In-N-Out and the shake.
If I could have an In-N-Out and a milkshake in Dodger Stadium, I'm going to be honest, Anthony, I still think I'd take it.
The day they put it in, then that wins there too.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We've never tried In-N-Out in a ballpark, so we don't know how that would taste. I would bet pretty good.
I'll be honest, In-N-Out sitting in a bag for 20 minutes, carried into Dodger Stadium, and then I get to my seat and unwrap it, I still might take it over a hot dog and a beer. We'll see. All right, let's get to some questions, all caps questions if you've got them. While you're populating those, I do want to go over some of the numbers looking at Yoshinobu Yamamoto, because it was dominance, as we've talked about, 105 pitches. He got 56 swings tonight, a whiff rate of 30%, 17 whiffs, 17 called strikes. 1/3 of every pitch that Yamamoto threw was either a called strike or a swing and miss. Again, it must be said, against the team that swings and misses less than anybody else in Major League Baseball. They swung and missed at the splitter 32% of the time, 25% on the fastball, 42% on the curveball, 25% on the cutter, 33% on the slider, and 0%, 0 for 2 on the sinker from Yamamoto. But an absolutely dominant performance from him. Again, on the offensive side, Will Smith, kind of the hero, 2 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs. He actually had 3 different bat-to-ball situations that plated a run. It was an RBI single, it was a home run, and then it was beating out the attempted double play from Jimenez that ended up resulting in a Dodgers run as well. So on the offensive side, Will Smith was the hero. I do want to point out, by the way, the Dodgers put up a poll for player of the game, and I just want to be on the record that I was not one of the 2% of people that voted for Will Smith for player of the game tonight. All right. So before those accusations get sent my way, I was firmly in the 98% that voted for Will Smith. Apparently Max Muncy has a lot of family members because he's at like 0.4% of 10,000 votes. And I don't know what game anybody watched where they thought clicking on Max Muncy's name was the right thing to do. But shout out to you there. Joseph with the question. This is a good one. What did you think of Smoltz complaining about Yamamoto not catching the drop pop-up? It's never up to the pitcher to catch an infield pop-up. Daniel, again, you played college baseball. You pitched. I thought it's a fair point to Smoltz, and I don't think he was necessarily critiquing Yamamoto as much as he was critiquing like the way baseball is played. Yeah. But I think his point of like, yo, you've got a glove. It's a pop-up. You have the easiest play here. What are we doing? To me, that resonated. But what did you think?
Yeah, and I know Anthony will agree with me on this because we were talking about it in our group chat. But to me, that's not on the pitcher at all. And I understand the point of that's a pop-up right there. Yamamoto could have caught that with his eyes closed probably. But the fact that Freddie is charging in on that, if Yamamoto goes to try to catch that, you're just going to have a collision. And, more often than not, Freddie's going to catch that ball. Like, I know he dropped it this time, but you could hit that ball 100 times. He's catching it 99 times, and this isn't even a conversation. Like, yeah, I get it. Pitchers, can definitely be more athletic, and he could have caught that ball easily. But when Freddie's coming in at full speed, the third baseman's coming in at full speed. If the pitcher tries to get in the mix there, like, you're just asking for trouble. So, yeah, like, I understand the point of, yeah, he could catch that ball easily. But to me, you just trust your fielders there. And 99 times out of 100, Freddie's catching that ball.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting, too, because, like, Daniel comes from this with the point of view of a pitcher, and I come with the point of view as a middle infielder. And I don't want you calling for that ball as I come in. I got it. And I'm sure maybe Freddie's talked about it already tonight, but like, if you ask him, he probably saying the same. I don't want Yamamoto calling
he called
for
it. He was screaming for it. So by the time he's halfway down, Yamamoto's not going after it.
Yeah, I think, like, if Freddie's not calling for it, if Freddie's like yelling, like, I don't see it, whatever, then you would like to see a guy like Yamamoto take charge there. But unless that happens, like, you're trusting your infielders in that spot. And that's just the way you're taught. Like, like you said to start this, Jeff, like, if anything, blame the coaches, blame just the way the guys are taught. That's not on Yamamoto in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a super chat. David said, I think he was criticizing Will Smith. To me, Will Smith's like the only guy in that spot that doesn't get any criticism, because a pop out in front of the plate is like such a bizarre
tough play.
The angle of the ball for a catcher, like, he feels like he should have been fourth on the list of people to be critiqued. So
and I think it was,
go ahead, Anthony.
I forget what the conversation from Smoltz was there, but like, just from a player standpoint, on a pop-up there to that part of the infield, Will Smith's job at that point is to be calling out who's going to get that ball. Is it Max's ball? Is it Freddie's ball? Is it Mookie's play? And so he's the only guy who has the view out that way.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And so when he sees where the ball's at, he can look and go, Freddie, that's you, Freddie. And Freddie should be calling it, right? Like, I think he just overran it. Otherwise, we're not having this conversation.
Yeah, it was a weird one because of how hard he was having to charge, because of where he started, because it looked like he was a half second slow to react to it.
I think that was a big part of it, was that he didn't react right away. And then in his mind, he was like, I got to come in hard. He overran it.
Yeah, Among Us asked, why was that touched and dropped and counted as a hit and not an error?
That should have absolutely been an error.
Because obviously the rule, for those that don't know, if it doesn't touch his glove, it is always ruled a hit, which is stupid, but that's the way they do it. This one hit his glove. So I think there's a chance this retroactively gets changed, but anyways, not that it matters.
Yeah, stop trying to put numbers on my guy Yamamoto.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that would go to an unearned run, right? If
it was called an error. But the bottom line is, if the rules of the organization and just baseball in general were different, and pitchers were allowed to catch those type of pop-ups, Yamamoto could have walked up there and caught it behind his back. That's a super easy pop-up, but they just don't want pitchers doing that. They don't want collisions and whatnot. And the bottom line is, Freddie's going to catch that ball every time except tonight, of course. But luckily,
I think there was a stat that said, like, balls with expected batting averages of 0 in the StatCast era, this is only the fourth time ever that it's been a hit. So it's worth.
And I think Daniel makes a good point too about like the collision stuff. Like, part of the reason why the rule exists, of like, as soon as the ball gets hit in the air like that, the pitcher is out of the play, is to just eliminate one extra guy on like the, all the lanes that are converging. And so I think that's another part of it too. It was just a play that I think Freddie muffed. And like I said, we're not having this conversation if he just goes and makes the catch.
Viralocity asks, who's your go-to bullpen pitcher for the 7th and 8th innings? We've got a couple of these questions. Scooter asks, does Will Klein climb? Holy smokes, is that a tongue twister? Your trust tree in a 1-run game, or still not yet? And then Bryce says, is it crazy to consider using starters out of the bullpen on their side days because the bullpen is so bad, especially with 3 games in a row, and Shohei and Glasnow not likely to give you 7 or 8 innings? So What do you guys think about that? Like, who are you trusting in the 7th or 8th? We know Roki is the closer, and he doesn't even seem like he's the fireman. Like, I think he's the closer. I don't think they're going to put him into awkward situations. So if you need, let's say, between 3 and 6 outs to get to Roki Sasaki, Daniel, in the next 3 games, who are the 2 or 3 names that would be in the mix for you?
I'm gonna start by answering the first part of this about using starters out of the bullpen. I just don't think it lines up really well to do that because you're not going to use Blake Snell out of the bullpen. He's starting game 5. Yamamoto has never done it before. He's starting game 6. And then Glasnow is obviously starting game 3, and you need him for a game 7. So the only one it would kind of work for would be Shohei, which I think that would be on the table if you're talking about a game 7 situation, a winner take all, type scenario where it's
or even game 6.
It's the very last game. Yeah. It's the very last game of the season. It's going to be his last outing. Like, they've been really cautious with Shohei, but at that point you just kind of let it rip. But other than that, you just kind of have to trust your relievers, especially games 3 and 4. Like, they'll have a rested bullpen. I'm kind of rambling here because I don't know what my answer is for the second part of the question, but I think Sheehan should get another shot, but hopefully not in a bases loaded scenario. Like, I feel comfortable with Sheehan if it's a 1-run game in a clean inning. Like, I would go to him in that spot. But if you're talking about trying to put out a fire, if lefties are coming up, Bond is the guy. And I hate saying it, but if righties are coming up, it is Blake Trinan. Like, unfortunately, there's just not many other options right now. Like, Will Klein has flashed some nice stuff, but I'm not like, he wasn't even on the roster the last 2 rounds. I'm not throwing him in the biggest spot until I see maybe another outing or 2 that he looks dominant. But right now, that's who it is for me.
Real quick, does Dreyer, like, how close is Dreyer versus Bonda and the lefties?
It's close. It's close. I just don't think his swing and miss stuff is. Like, I think Bonda gets more swing and miss, and when you're talking about this Blue Jays lineup, I don't think that's a recipe for success for Jack Dreyer. So I would lean Bonda, but he's kind of the next guy on that list. But they haven't really used him a whole lot, so I think Dave has kind of told us how they feel about him, at least right now.
Anthony, it does feel like with this bullpen, one thing, if you want to say it's nice, it does feel like there are kind of some defined roles, which is, to Daniel's point, Trinan is the fireman, which makes how they handled game 1 of the World Series so weird. But like, Trinan does feel like 2nd and 3rd with 1 out or 2 outs, and we need somebody to get us out of this. It feels obvious that that's going to be Trinan. If it's lefties, to Daniel's point, like, so far it has been Bonda. Now, does giving up the grand slam in game 1 change that equation at all? And does it become Dreyer or even a guy like Robleski if you're looking for swing and miss? Like, that's an interesting conversation. And again, Roki Sasaki is clearly the closer. And I agree with Daniel. Like, it still does feel like Sheehan is a guy that I trust clearly in the right situation. So to me, the only 2 questions are, who is the lefty? Is it still Bonda? And I think Will Klein versus Emmett Sheehan is at least worth having the conversation about, because Klein has looked so good basically every single time he's pitched for the Dodgers in the last 6 weeks.
Yeah. I think quickly, your fireman, your Emmett, your why am I blanking on the name? Evan Phillips. Your Phillips is now Blake Trinan.
Yeah. Well, and it's always been Blake Trinan, because Phillips was kind of the closer that Trinan was always putting fires out to get to.
Well, I think last year they used Phillips in more of a, like, middle of the order in the 7th inning.
Yeah.
You got this. So I think he was used in that role too. For Sheehan, I have total confidence in him. I'm with Daniel. 1-run game, I would throw him in there. I think the keys here, which is why I was scratching my head in game 1, was, one, I would like him to be in a clean inning. I don't think it's completely necessary, but that's the preference. But also, this guy has been a starter all season long, and never once in the regular season did you bring him out of the bullpen. You only started doing that when the playoffs started. Asking him to get hot, Daniel can relate to this, get hot, not just start to get loose, but I mean get ready to throw a meaningful pitch in a high leverage situation in like 4 minutes as a starter, like as a guy who's been a starter all year. Unreasonable. And that was my beef with Dave last night. and why I thought it should have just been Treinen in that situation. So you give the guy ample time to warm up. I'm on board with Sheehan still.
Yeah.
Lefties, I think it's still Banda, but I think now it's a conversation of like, okay, well, how does Dreyer fit? And I think all of that's a conversation, and I think it's the same with Will Klein. If I got a lefty gets on base and I got 2 righties coming up, I need to get these outs, and then it could be the end of the inning. Will Klein could be that kind of guy too.
Yeah.
Like, you know, yeah. So I think it becomes situational at that point with Alex Vesia. The loss of Vesia,
yeah, it's huge.
It's a bigger hole than just like removing one pitcher, because he filled so many of these situations.
Yeah, he was your lefty and your best reliever all in one. So it was like, it didn't matter, right? Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Phil says Joe Davis doesn't want to sound biased for the Dodgers, but like last year, Smoltz and Davis are focusing way more on the opponent. I like Joe Davis. Daniel, I did catch myself at times thinking like, man, that's kind of weird. He feels like it's pretty critical of the Dodgers at times. I don't know if that was just me.
I'm not going to lie. I watch like 80 to 90% of the game on mute. So I don't hear a lot of this stuff. And it's not because they're bad. It's just, that's just kind of how my nerves work, where like, I'd rather sit and watch the game in a quiet room, especially more so when the Dodgers are on the road. Like, I just don't want to hear that stadium getting loud and rowdy. Like at Dodger Stadium, obviously I love it, but on those road games, I'm listening to most of the game on mute. But I have seen in the past when Joe does kind of, you know, over compromise a little bit, but I still think on the whole, like, he's the best in the business. So I'm not going to sit here and be a Joe Davis hater. Like, we're lucky to have him.
Yeah, and look, we get critical of other guys like, oh, this is the Brewers announcer and it sounds like he's biased. It's like Joe's trying his hardest not to do that, and so obviously it's going to come across the way that we're talking about. Bo Jangles asks, where and when does Kershaw come in? 10-1, Game 5, Dodgers going for victory in the 9th inning. That's when Kershaw comes in. Tim says, thanks to the Jonas Brothers for saving the Dodgers season. Maybe the Jonas Brothers, do they bring them out for Game 3, 4, or 5? Can we get them to LA and have them play a pregame show, Daniel?
I don't know. I feel like expectations are high when you had Ice Cube last year, some murmurs about Kendrick Lamar. If they trot out the Jonas Brothers, I know what, you know, that song thing helped switch up the momentum tonight, but I feel like there would be a lot of people in Dodger Stadium would be a little underwhelmed by that.
A little. Ray says Anthony hit the nail on the head about Sheehan. Well said. I'm on board with Sheehan. Dry Protoss, with all the time off, Roki should be able to do an up down. And we've seen him do it, and we've seen him go back to back as well. So I think Roki Sasaki is going to be available. Would he be able to pitch in 3 straight games? I might be a little skeptical of that, but it's the World Series. This isn't the time to be protecting guys. All due respect.
Yeah, it's kind of a situation where, like, if they need him for 6 outs in Game 3 to win it, and he does, we'll figure out 4 and 5 after that.
You're chasing 3 wins at this point. Like, if you got a win in front of you, you worry about tomorrow. And like Jeff was saying, we're at the finish line here. So, like, you know, ideally they've been saying they don't want to use Roki back-to-backs and whatever the case may be, but only a few of these games left. So if there's ever a time to do it, it's now.
Yeah, Roki on back-to-back, Shohei out of the bullpen if needed. Like, this is the kid gloves are off, right? Paul says, can we talk about how important the top of the first was? Dodgers had scored 0 first-inning runs on the road in the postseason. 2 outs. Freddie Freeman, as much crap as he's taken for his overall batting line, incredible at bat to work the count on Gossman, fight off some splitters, fight off some fastballs, and then to slap a ball into right field corner for a double was incredible. And then Will Smith comes up, and I think it was like the second pitch, does what the janitor does. He just puts a single into center field, cleans up the bases, and it was 1-0. And so I think Paul it's a great point that you make here, Paul. That was huge for the Dodgers to jump out. They jumped out to a lead now in both of these games, 2-0 in Game 1, 1-0 in Game 2. But it was just nice to see them. They got one opportunity with runners in scoring position, and guess what they did? They knocked it in. So kudos to Will Smith and Freddie Freeman for that. So, all right, let's go out with this. Hawaiian Kira asks, is it too early for a Game 3 preview? It is not.
Never
predictions or expectations. That's the next one in front of us. So Glasnow versus Scherzer is the matchup. Anthony, I'll start with you. Give me some thoughts on this game and how you see it playing out.
I think the offense wakes up. I think they can get to Scherzer, and I think we're looking at like a 6-7 run output for them. And I think from Glasnow, I think with this team and their approach, I think 6 innings is probably where he sits at.
Yeah.
And I think he's good enough that he goes 6 innings, 1 run, 7, 8 strikeouts.
Okay. So you're going Dodgers win, 6 or 7 runs for the offense and a gem by Glasnow. Daniel, what do you got?
I think there's going to be a lot of offense. I think the Dodgers will get to Scherzer early. I think Glasnow will battle and find a way to get through, 5 or 6, maybe three or 4 runs allowed. But I think the Dodgers offense is going to come alive. I'm calling a 8-5 Dodgers win. I want
to throw a name. You want to give me a name for a big swing?
I want to say Freddie is going to hit a big swing in the first inning, because that's kind of what he did in the World Series last year. And he had, it wasn't, I wouldn't call it a good swing in the first inning today, but he had a good hit, with the double there and then scores. So I think Freddie goes deep in the first inning. I'll say that.
Nice.
I'm going to go 6 innings, 2 runs for Glasnow. I think it is going to be a little bit of a grind, but I think he gets there. He's had 8 strikeouts in back-to-back games, so I'll just stick with the round number. Give me 8 strikeouts for Glasnow. And I'm with you guys. I think it's 7 runs for the Dodgers offense. I've said his name a couple of times. Give me a Max Muncy big swing with a couple guys on in this one. So I'll go 7-4 Dodgers. I think the bullpen makes it dicey a little bit towards the end. But give me 7-4 Dodgers and maybe 6 outs from Roki Sasaki in that one. So I said Dodgers in 5. If you force me to repick and I could erase things, I might say 6, given that they've already lost 1 game. But Daniel, you still feel good, I imagine, about the overall scope of this series and the Dodgers being able to close this thing out?
Absolutely. And I think, considering how game 1 went, like, we're probably feeling as good as we possibly could have if you would have told us, 24 hours ago. So yeah, I feel good. I like the way the Dodgers pitching lines up. I'm expecting better at bats against the Blue Jays starters in games 3 and 4. So yeah, I feel good. I would say probably 6 games like you, just because it's tough to win 3 in a row, but I wouldn't put it past them. Like, the pitching is lined up to do it.
Yeah, and keep in mind, when we all say, hey, we think they get to Scherzer, that means the crappy bullpen comes in after. It's not like there are better arms coming in after Scherzer. So it really is a snowball effect. If you can get to Scherzer, he's the best pitcher you're going to face until you get to their closer in Hoffman. So, Anthony, how are you feeling about big picture of this series?
Yeah, I think that if you say before the series, first 2 games are in Toronto, you leave there with the split.
Yeah.
1, like, you're probably feeling fine with that. Like, all right, that's cool. And then you go, okay, the next 3 games you line up Glasnow, Ohtani, Snell.
Yeah.
And the other guys go Scherzer, Bieber, and then we'll see.
Yeah.
You're probably going, yeah, I kind of like where I sit.
Yeah.
And I kind of like where the Dodgers sit right now. And to your bullpen point, I think if they can get to Scherzer quickly and get him out of there, you're now facing 3 days in a row with that shaky bullpen from Toronto with no off days. That could be critical.
There's added pressure, to your point, of getting Scherzer out of the game in the first 4 innings or so that even if it doesn't necessarily come to fruition and you don't get to those guys in game 3, they have to start wearing it in game 4 and game 5. And we've all seen the numbers. The 3rd or 4th time you see a pitcher in a series, the effectiveness, the ERA is like through the roof. And so could be better there. I thought this was a great point from Hepatitis C. If you had to pick a game to win in a split, you'd take game 2, heading back home happy. I think that's a great point.
There you go.
As well. Jazzy Ways wants to know, what about Justin Bieber for game 4?
Please no.
We're getting Shane Bieber in game 4, so we're getting the Bieber.
Yeah, exactly. Canadian, come on now. Phil asks Jeff how much to retire the use of the janitor. Phil, there isn't enough money in the world, my friend.
More than $199, that's for sure.
Exactly.
We appreciate the super chat, though.
As Anthony pointed out, we got an up and to the right emoji use from the Dodgers on a Will Smith home run tonight. So I'm just saying, some people are saying there's traction. Other people are saying there isn't, but some people are saying that there's traction with the Will Smith stuff. So that'll do it for us tonight. Again, the Dodgers win 5-1. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is the story. He is the headline. He is the subhead. and he is the main body of this whole thing. Will Smith gets a footnote, 2 for 4 with a home run and 3 RBIs. But Yamamoto, one of the all-time pitching performances in Dodgers history, as the Dodgers even things in Toronto. They head back to Los Angeles on Monday, 5:08 start Monday, 5:08 Tuesday, 5:08 Wednesday. Again, Tyler Glasnow versus Max Scherzer on the mound for that one. That is Daniel Starkand. That is Anthony Witrado. As always, stay right here on the Dodger Blue 1958 YouTube page. Subscribe, ring the notification bell. Matt Moreno is on the ground in Toronto covering this series. So we've got all the post-game content, press conferences, interviews right here on this channel. You can check out the recap on DodgerBlue.com and, of course, the Dodger Blue app. Everything all in one place. Also, if you're a podcast person, Apple, Spotify, Google, the DodgerHeads podcast. Thank you for listening to this. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. As always, go Dodgers. And yes, still champs.